Hello and welcome. I'm Johan Castell and you're watching WION Wings with special features from Goa. Take a look at today's upcoming stories. When we travel, food is a big part of the experience, and when planning this visit to Goa, we heard of Goas Barbecue Man. Needless to say, we needed to find out more, and here is his story.
Goa is one of the most popular tourist destinations in India. Panaji, also called Panjim, is the state capital of Goa. Located on the banks of the river Mandovi, it has a distinct character. Fontaines is the heritage area of Panaji, where you can experience a blend of Indian and Portuguese culture. And in recent years, the Fontaines neighborhood has become a food destination too. Not to mention a magnet for tourists who love taking selfies in these colorful lanes. To understand more about this area, we sit down with a chef who owns and runs 2 restaurants in Old Panjim.
So the Old Panjim is this whole area, Fontaines, Santome, and right now it's a conservation zone. So you still see the old architecture, you still see the old colors. For food, it's become a destination now. Actually, in the last maybe 5-10 years, Panjim was not really like a big food hub. We had a few restaurants, but it was not so big. But in the last 10 years, this area especially has suddenly burst out with like multiple restaurants. We have got a couple of cool bars. So a lot of people come here, they do like bar crawls, and there's a lot of interesting food available in the area.
Vasco Alvares says he grew up surrounded by foodies. Now an award-winning chef, he's fondly known as the barbecue man of Goa.
So we were always, the family was always into food. So that's, naturally gravitated towards food. I did my hotel management and then got into the food industry. I've been a chef for about 26 years now.
But how did the nickname Goas Barbecue Man come about?
Why I became famous for barbecue is because I started doing these pop-ups. So we had this thing called the Wine Festival, and I was one of the first few guys who was doing barbecue at a big event, like pork ribs and things that were not normally available in Goa.
Today, Vasco can be found tossing up skewers twice a week at a colorful corner in Panjim's old Latin quarters, where he hopes to preserve Goan food that is otherwise disappearing from menus.
Miski Bar I do with a very dear friend, childhood friend of mine. We got together and we decided to do, we call it nostalgic Goan food. Food that we grew up eating as kids. Our families lived close to each other and we used to meet up every weekend. So here we decided to do some of that, recreate some of those memories. And there's a lot of food in Goa that's disappearing off menus. So you'll see it in people's homes, but you won't see it at a restaurant. But what we decided here is to try and preserve some of that and at the same time relive our memories through food.
Beyond the barbecue corner at Miski Bar, he's just opened up a new restaurant that is a stone's throw away in another vibrant lane of Fontaines.
So this place used to import wines, and then it passed on from different families. And my brother finally bought this like maybe a year ago, and then he offered it to me to run a restaurant. And since I'm doing Goan food at Miski, I don't want to do Goan food here, so I'm doing the other meats and the other things that I love eating. So this place we just opened like maybe 15 days ago, and then let's hope it does well.
We've come for a barbecue, but what can we try?
So I do a barbecue at Miski regularly on a Tuesday and a Friday. So we set up a grill on the outside, and then so mine is like a small grill where we do like everything is bite-sized on skewers. So today we'll do some ribs, we'll do some prawn, we'll do some chicken. You'll get to try all that.
If you ever have the chance, hit up this community bar for some mouth-watering, authentic Goan barbecue delights.
Definite must try. If you're here on a Tuesday or a Friday,
Tuesday, Friday.
Don't miss it. 5 stars and beyond, I would say.
Thank you.
This is wild. So tasty. Mexico is home to many world-famous tourist sites, and the government of Mexico is determined to develop infrastructure to attract more tourists, even in a sensitive region. Take a look.
Mexico is known for its rich culture, ancient ruins, picturesque beaches, and incredible cuisine. Some of the most famous and visited tourist sites near the capital include Teotihuacan, Tepoztlan, and Tecacahuamilpa caves. Teotihuacan is a UNESCO World Heritage Site located less than 50 kilometers northeast of Mexico's capital. The surviving monuments to the pre-Columbian period include the impressive Pyramid of the Sun and the Moon and its Avenue of the Dead. Tepoztlan is a popular tourist destination in the mountains around 80 kilometers from Mexico City, and its colorful streets and quaint cafes draw visitors to this small town. Another popular tourist spot is near Tasco, Mexico, where the Cacahuamilpa caves allow visitors to be amazed by enormous spaces in one of the largest cave systems in the world, which has not one but two river systems running through it. To develop the tourism potential and ease of access between Playa del Carmen and Tulum resorts, Mexico's President Manuel López Obrador launched a flagship project called the Mayan Train that will stretch for around 1,500 kilometers through sensitive areas that could get damaged by the construction work. Some parts of this route are disputed, as activists claim that underground caves, rivers, and freshwater sinkholes can be irreparably damaged. Last year, a Mexican judge suspended the construction on one part of the rail link. At the same time, López Obrador said that the train is not going to affect underwater rivers. But environmentalists are concerned.
It is necessary to stop this project because it's putting Quintana Roo's, Mexico and the world's biocultural heritage in danger. It's generating a large process of hydric stress for the upcoming years, and a desertification of the jungle due to mass tourism and urban developments in the Yucatan Peninsula.
Tourism represents around 9% of Mexico's economy, and the president is betting that this $10 billion train project will help with economic development in one of the country's poorest regions. After almost 4 years of construction, work has been suspended and resumed by a court order, and López Obrador issued a decree declaring this project a matter of national security to avoid paralysis. To ensure that the project is finished on time, workers can be seen working hard under the scorching sun. Not everyone is against this new infrastructure development, as they see the benefits, with more tourists coming here.
The contract must be ready by December to deliver the section because they are already pressuring us, and each company has its contract. Here in Maxcanu, there have been no protests about the Mayan Train because they know that it will benefit the people. And as I said, there will be more visitors, more tourism, since we have the Oxkentok Archaeological Zone and the pyramids here.
Will López Obrador be able to open the Mayan Train on time? We'll have to wait and watch.
Connectivity for countries and their tourism sites is a major factor for people when they choose their holiday destinations. For Chinese travelers, connectivity to Laos has recently improved with the newly opened cross-border train service into Laos.
Laos is a small country in Southeast Asia with countless waterfalls and scenic rice plantations. The lush tropical country is a favorite for backpackers exploring the region. But for visitors making their way in from China, it used to be complicated and took a long time to travel from southern China's Kunming city to the Lao capital, Vientiane. The new China-Laos railway opened in mid-April, and the route will now operate with one passenger train per day in each direction, allowing travelers to reach their destination on the same day. The travel time has been reduced significantly for travelers who used to use different modes of transport before the new train connection was completed.
This is my 9th trip to Laos. I used to take every means of transportation. It took 3 days by boat and dozens of hours by coach. It was very tiring, but this time, I got to Laos by China's high-speed train, as it can reach my destination, Luang Prabang, directly. The train is very stable, safe and comfortable.
The China-Laos Railway is part of China's Belt and Road project, and the new services are expected to facilitate people-to-people exchanges between the neighbors. To fund the construction of the railway from the border of Laos and China, Beijing paid for 70% of the costs, while much of the Laos government's contribution came from loans from Chinese banks. The train journey from southern China's Kunming to the Lao capital Vientiane stretches for over 1,000 kilometers with 8 stations along the route that takes 10.5 hours, including the time spent with customs and border formalities. After the first train from Kunming reached the border with Laos, 183 passengers are lit to clear customs.
After the train arrives at Mohan Station, cross-border passengers are required to get off the train and enter the exit joint inspection area with all their luggage and return to the train for the rest of the journey after completing the exit joint inspection.
When travelers from Laos cross into China, they have to pass through customs clearance too, and the process takes around 1.5 hours for either side. Tourism authorities in Laos estimate that more than 350,000 Chinese travelers will visit the country this year. Chinese tourism was spiking over the Labor Day long weekend, with 19.5 million expected train trips in a record-breaking day for the country, where tourist sites sold out of tickets and hotels were packed, as tourists could finally travel after COVID lockdowns. This made the new Laos train connection an attractive option, and even here, many tickets were sold out.
We plan to travel from Sichuan-Bana to Vientiane. The railway brings benefits to the ordinary people, and we hope it will extend to Malaysia.
In the Lao Railways section of the route, 32,777 passengers traveled from April 28th to May 1st, and this new accessibility and ease of travel to Laos are sure to benefit the small and lush nation.
Thailand has recently legalized marijuana, and thousands of stalls selling the green herb have opened up along the streets of Bangkok. Although this represents hopes of boosting the local economy, the legal framework is still in political limbo ahead of the May elections.
If you take a walk in Bangkok, you will find multiple dispensaries lining the streets. These dispensaries sell potent marijuana buds, along with all kinds of paraphernalia. Take a stroll down Khao San Road and you can find an entire marijuana-themed shopping mall named Plantopia, with crowds of customers who try the new products. In Thailand, cannabis consumption is now decriminalized. While just up until last June, you could be jailed for 5 years for this. You can now get marijuana delivered by a motorbike courier in convenience stores and restaurants. It's a flavor for tea, ice creams, and water. This website, called Weed, lists over 4,500 businesses across Thailand selling cannabis and shows how widespread the sales have become. The Boomjai Thai Party, which played a crucial role in partially legalizing cannabis in Thailand, has accused its political rivals of using its flagship policy for political gain before the May 14 election. The party has emphasized that any potential government coalition must accept non-negotiable cannabis reform. Although Thailand decriminalized cannabis for medicinal use in June 2022, a detailed Cannabis Act failed to pass Parliament before it was dissolved in March for election campaigning. The legal gap has led to an increase in recreational smoking, which has concerned critics who view the law as too hasty. Political analyst from Bangkok's Chulalongkorn University, Thitinan Pungsodirak, explains more.
On the one hand, there is a regulation, a ministerial regulation, decriminalizing it. but in fact there's no parliamentary act. It's not a law officially. So that limbo allows space for cannabis to still be sold, but technically it could also be illegal. So this is something that's been very politicized because it has been peddled and pursued by one major political party. It could have resulted in an upgrading of Thai tourism. It could provide medicinal usage, and it could make Thailand, upgrade itself to another tier. But because of all the politics involved, it has left a bad taste now and a bit of a legal mess. Because now with the elections upcoming, if the Phumjai Thai party does not get to join the next coalition government, then the question is what happens to the cannabis policy that has been espousing.
If new laws are passed and regulation is precise, it could prove to be a success for Thailand to legalize marijuana fully. One stakeholder who recently organized a Cannabis Cup in Phuket considers it a win-win for everyone.
Right now in Thailand, we haven't had the segment market, which is coming to Thailand purely for cannabis just yet, right? Imagine what's going to happen if people fly right to Thailand just because of that. We're going to increase such a large amount of GDP of tourism for the whole Thailand. The government should be very, very happy. And then the education system, the medical system can all improve together. So it's a holistic approach, win-win for all.
In Thailand, cannabis has turned into a political battleground, as the opposition accuses the ruling pro-military coalition of hastily pushing through decriminalization last year, which they claim is harmful to society, especially young people. In the lead-up to the May 14 elections, cannabis is taking on an unexpectedly significant role. And the outcome of this election will be closely followed by everyone involved in this budding industry.
And now it's time for the latest updates from the world of aviation, hospitality, and travel. Take a look at our news deck.
Our first story is from India, where the Directorate General of Civil Aviation has directed cash-strapped airline Go First to stop the sale of tickets with immediate effect. The Indian ultra-low-cost airline had already suspended the sale of flight tickets till May 15th after filing an insolvency plea last week. The regulatory body's directive comes after it had asked the airline to issue refunds to passengers against cancelled flights. Go First's inability to refund customers even after the DGCA's directive indicates growing financial hurdles for the airline. But the carrier says its woes are not due to financial mismanagement. Instead, it blames engine issues. Go First says it was forced to ground 25 Airbus A320neo planes, about half of its fleet, as it is not getting spare engines from US firm Pratt & Whitney. The engine maker has disputed the claim. Although India is considered to be the fastest growing aviation market in the world, the question is, why do airlines keep folding despite the boom? Moving on, Lufthansa recently announced its new expansion plans. The German carrier will increase the number of weekly flights from Germany to India. The airline will start 2 new routes, from Munich to Bengaluru and Frankfurt to Hyderabad. The new flights on the Munich-Bengaluru route will be operational 3 times a week, with the first flight on November 3rd, 2023.
A new destination, a new point of origin, a connection to one of the most important, the second most important Lufthansa hub, the gateway to Europe and the gateway to the world.
Lufthansa's Harry Hofmeister visited Delhi to announce the expansion plans for India. Although the member of Lufthansa's executive board expressed his concerns about India's government freezing rather than expanding flying rights, he was optimistic about the growth of the aviation sector in the country. Ryanair, Europe's largest low-cost carrier, has agreed to purchase up to 300 Boeing jets. This includes 150 of the 230-seat 737 MAX 10 variant, burying an 18-month public feud over prices. The planes will be delivered from 2027 to 2033. The order will allow Ryanair to almost double its traffic to 300 million passengers per year by March 2034. Ryanair CEO Michael O'Leary flew to Washington to celebrate the deal with a long-time supplier, but continued to needle Boeing over jet prices. Ryanair has expressed interest in the 230-seat MAX 10 variant for some time, but O'Leary had previously pledged not to overpay for the 30 extra seats. The deal delivers a boost to the largest version of Boeing's 737 MAX, a best-selling series whose deliveries have been depressed by a 2-year safety crisis and post-COVID disruption. Ryanair exclusively uses Boeing 737s for its mainline fleet and is one of Boeing's largest customers, with more than 600 planes in its fleet or on order.
That's all we have for you on this week's episode of WION Wings. But don't forget to check out next weekend's show on WION. For now, it's me, Johan Castell, checking out.